The reason why people are stuck in pilot is not because of ROI. Number one thing you need to remember, don't look for the killer use case in AI. It never existed and it will never exist. Good morning, CloudFest. All right, we do it again. Good morning, CloudFest. Morning. Hey, question to you. How many of you are service providers? We're at CloudFest. Hands up. I can hardly see you. All right, what's the rest of you doing? Vendors? Or people leaving the room? Okay. Innovation with empathy. In reverse to what Ravi said earlier this morning, he said the reason why 80% or over 75 or over 2/3 of all the AI projects are stuck in pilot because nobody's got an ROI. Here's something you can read. We've written a white paper, a professor in Germany, a former CIO, myself, we're writing a white paper. It's got to be open source to all of you. Reason why people are stuck in pilot is not because of ROI. Number one thing you need to remember, don't look for the killer use case in AI. It never existed and it will never exist. But C-level needs to understand what their role is. And this is why I put this slide up. Not going to go for it. 3 years ago, we had to sell AI to people. And then all of a sudden, ChatGPT came around and everybody said, we're doing AI. I have not seen any company in the last 12 months where I was sitting with their executives and they said, oh no, we're not doing anything in AI. No. It's also not true anymore. They all know ChatGPT and now they're all coming, it's like, we're doing AI. But I'm just looking at you. And most of them try to do the same old, don't say the S word, as before, delegated to Johann. Johann, you're doing AI for the company. Again, wrong. But AI is not GenAI. AI is not just GenAI. That's one of the options. AI is 3 completely independent markets. We start with the very far left side. 35 years ago, I wrote about AI in my thesis. It was there. And since then, we developed the pre-Gen AI use cases. Anybody guess how many pre-Gen AI use cases we know? It's about 2,500. Okay? So for any problem you have, there's already a use case, and we got a database with what we call the use case builders, who is building that use case for you. What that market was all about is like every single use case had a different architecture. Yeah? Somebody would do something manufacturing. So Johann's Azure Garage developed a use case for computer vision manufacturing. People are building that plastic and they wanted to do some quality assurance. These were data scientist people. They have no idea about IT and hardware and whatever. And then they came and the company said, I want this use case in production. Then they ran out, bought a cheap server, put some Linux on it, and dumped it into a customer. Seen this myself, small company, 55 plastic machines. I saw 40 different systems. That's the pre-Gen AI market. Then, in the last 10 years, the training market started to establish, and it became very, very visible. People building foundational models, training them from scratch, building supercomputers like the size of this planet. You all know them, Grok, X, and co. To train these models, large language models. There's a couple of things that we're seeing now. Countries say, I don't want to be dependent on either this side or this side of the Atlantic or the Pacific. I want to do it in my country. So that's a market that's also existing. But here's the new market, and that's the most important market for you, the cloud service providers, and for us, the ecosystem of you, the enterprise market. We're combining the two and bringing that into the enterprises, no matter how small or large this company is. And I do not agree with Jensen Huang saying everybody needs a GPU. Everybody needs a dozen of AI agents to work as his minions, right? That is enterprise AI. How is the enterprise AI market? Whoops, I went one too far. No, there's a slide missing. The enterprise AI market is about agentic AI. It's about running AI in all your processes, in all your company. To give you an example, our company has a strategy and says every single process, no matter it's a product building process, a customer process, a service process, will be AI supported. What you need to do as a company, you need to tackle this strategically. And strategically is not just putting it up on a website and say, I'm doing AI. Whereas the DNS people, how many? I've done a query recently. I just want to get some proof. In the last 12 months, there was about 3,000 companies who changed from .com to .ai. That is not AI strategy. So the strategy house is you need your ambition, what you're trying to do with your company. That's the C-level. You need use cases. Again, 2,500 known use cases. New use cases that you can generate on your own without having data science people or AI engineers. You can build it. My friend who works as a controller, he said, I can now build an AI use case. He's never studied anything in computer science. That's the new thing. What we can influence as the ecosystem in technology is the three things: data, technology, and ecosystem. But three major concerns you need to think about. One, how do I build AI infrastructure? I was sitting over there, and there was a couple of people sitting next to me and said, I'm a cloud service provider, small regional cloud service provider here. The very first question I ask is like, okay, how many kilowatts can you put into a rack? I'm going to have a panel right after this. We're talking about AI and sustainability. How many kilowatts can your racks absorb? Today, we're already at 150 kilowatts. If you're taking the latest designs of NVIDIA or AMD or Intel, 150 kilowatts in a rack. And we're going to 250, 500 kilowatts soon. So you need to think about how you built that. And do you need all of that, or can you build that differently? Second, data. Data is the new fuel, whatever, the new solar power, whatever. But you can't copy petabytes of data around the globe. In the process of people building an AI use case, you need 15 times to copy the data forward and backward and manipulate that data. That's nice if you're doing it with a couple of terabytes on a small disk, impossible in petabyte and zettabyte scale. And then third is, do you have the power to run an AI data center? Where is your location? Do you want to be green? Do you want to use the Nordic regions for running some parts of it and then do the rest over here? So, coming to how to build these kind of things, here's what you need to remember, the cloud builders. This is what you need to build. Here's your functional blocks in AI. You've got data on the very far left side. We're not going to talk about this today. We can talk about tomorrow how we're doing this. This data needs to come into a data platform. And that's the first thing you need to have for your customers, for the data science people, for the companies, for the mid-market companies. Then you need to have a model hub where people can take one of the 1-point-something million models on Hugging Face, make them theirs, customize them. Don't retrain them. You'll customize them to make it more intelligent and smaller. You can decrease them because you're making them less intelligent. I don't need a model that is a scientist, a novel writer, and a professor in math if I'm just doing some analytics in Excel spreadsheets. So I can squeeze that down so it runs on the smallest platform. Data science tools. These people, they know what they want. But the most important one is on the left side. You need to have a serving platform, also called an inferencing platform. If you're not doing inferencing, you're done. You can't focus on a training market. That's going to be these couple of big computers somebody's building with a lot of funding from government, and that's it. The big focus market for you is the inferencing market. You need to run dozens to hundreds of use cases and models for your customers in your cloud service provider environment. Are we agreeing on that? But interesting enough, this is not like 25, 30 years ago where you had 3, 4 different software pieces. 3,000 companies building software for AI. Over a dozen accelerators, not just GPUs and CPUs and whatever, a dozen technologies. So you need to bring that into what we call a factory. You got your data, you have to bring in your customer's data, sovereign AI platform, remember, sovereign, into your environment, run it on an infrastructure as small as possible, by using the right technology and the right software pieces, and the data scientists will squeeze it down when you roll it out. You need an open ecosystem, not being locked into a single company anymore, to build these use cases that you can then roll out for your customers. That is all I have for today. Tomorrow we're going to talk about how we're getting there. Thank you very much for listening, and see you all